Hello, and welcome to episode 136 of The Joy of Coding. My name's Mike Conley. Gonna be hacking on Firefox stuff today as per usual. No surprises there. Let's get to it. Sorry for my froggy throat. I'm still just a little bit getting over my cold from last week. Last week there was no episode because I couldn't really speak at all nicely. And this week I'm back, and hopefully I'll make it through. So let's take a look at the agenda. Well, first of all, let's talk about the agenda, because this agenda is actually something that you can click on. If you're watching this on New Air Mozilla, check out the handouts section because there's a link there. And if you're watching this on Old Air Mozilla, scroll down to the additional link section because that's where the agenda is. If you're watching this on YouTube, check the video description. And if you're watching this on Twitch, I'm going to drop the link into the Twitch chat right now. Boom. There you go. There it is. You've got a bunch of links on here that you can click. For example, the episode guide, which is falling a little bit behind, but that's okay. The episode guide is a viewer-driven repository of notes, links to stuff that you might find interesting regarding each episode. Some of them include a topic breakdown of the stuff I cover. And if you have your own notes or things that you want to contribute to the notes, you can send pull requests to the repository. And if you're not sure what that means, click on the links here for explanations. And here's a guide for creating pull requests that you can use. The auto transcription stuff I was working on has taken a brief pause due to some technical troubles, I think, or no, it's like I just got bogged down and busy. But if you look at the spreadsheet, one of the big things that happened was like towards the end of the list here, a bunch of these videos, the transcriptions are out of sync with the videos on YouTube, which is what Amara, the auto transcription service, is using. And I think these are all transcribed, but I haven't updated the spreadsheet yet. And I suspect that they're all going to be out of sync, or a good chunk of them are going to be out of sync. And I think the only solution there is I have to download the videos from Air Mozilla and re-upload them to YouTube, because the transcription is taking place using the videos from Air Mozilla, and the videos on YouTube are slightly out of sync with them. So that's what has to happen. It's just some work I have to do, and I just haven't done it yet. So that is a quick update on the auto transcription stuff that we've been doing. If you're interested in what the auto transcription stuff is, I'm using Mozilla Deep Speech to do speech-to-text transcription of all the videos. This is something that I think YouTube offers as like a feature, but I want to try and do it myself and like use my own use the deep speech speech model and language model, and use amara.org, which is a crowdsourced platform for having people correct transcriptions. And I actually haven't seen what's been going on here lately. I'm curious to see whether or not there have been any updates, but I better look at that after. So quick self-check, is everything working? Yeah, you can hear me. Yes, I'm recording. That's good. Another quick plug for The Joy of Profiling, which is another show that I do on Fridays usually. It's not been every Friday, but most Fridays. And that's where we look at performance profiles that you viewers just like you submit to us. And there is a form here that you can use to submit a performance profile. If you're not sure what a performance profile is, it's basically like a black box recording of what your browser is doing, and those recordings we want to examine them whenever the browser is performing slowly, like it's sticking. It feels like it's not performing well. It's taking a long time to do something, or painting. We're dropping frames and everything's not smooth. That's when we want to know what's going on, and so that's what a performance profile helps us figure out. And there are instructions here, right here, on how you can collect a performance profile, and then once you collect and post one, you can submit this form to get it analyzed by the people on that show, which is usually myself and another fellow here in the Toronto office named Jeff. Okay, so what are we doing today? Well, I'm actually hoping we can finish off this bug here, 1371346. This is something that I didn't actually work on. This is something that Ludovic Hurleman, who is a Mozillian that I worked on Thunderbird with way back in the day, he submitted this patch to remove some dead code from the nightly and beta channels. I think it's just nightly and just beta. Let me double check. Yeah. No, it's just nightly. It's just in the nightly channel. And this is dead code that it still runs. Like, we initialize this thing in the nightly channel, but nothing actually uses it. It's disabled by default, and we just want to get rid of it. And then we did that, and we had to back right out again because I forgot to do some stuff. Like, here's the, here's the push that originally landed on inbound. If I can get the tree herder link here. And it's just all red. It's just all busted. And I'm not sure why that is. Apparently, I had to remove some stuff inside this make file, which I did. This sort of follow-up stuff, no problem, removed. But still, whenever I try and push to the try server, we get these failures right here, these L10N failures. And I'm not sure what that's all about. Everything else passes okay. Like these oranges look like registered intermittent oranges. Those are failures that sometimes occur due to timing issues, and we know about them. But these L10N failures seem to be related. And if I open up a log of these failures, for example, I can look for the test unexpected failure. Whoa, I don't. Presentation is the term. Yeah, it's still trying to package the presentation add-on, and it can't find the. It's having a hard time finding the add-on. You know, it's like, oh, I wanted you to be there, but you're not there. So some part of the code base still expects the presentation API system add-on, which is what we're removing, to be there, and I don't know what part that is. And the good news is that I can kind of reproduce this locally. So I've got the patch to back everything out here on the tip of the repository, or not the tip, but I've got that patch checked out. So we're right here. Ludo wrote the patch, and it builds fine. But if I go mock package, which is the command we use to, build the installer for, a local build if you want to test the installer, I run it, and what happens?
Mamma mia!
Bear? No, there we go. We get this, like, a bunch of stuff comes out, but right at the bottom here it says the following duplicated files are not allowed. These errors. And then it also says something about, wait a second. I thought it was going to say something about presentation. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we got rid of everything. Grep presentation. Nothing in there about the presentation. Like, it certainly doesn't like, oh yeah, I've got some .orig files. Let me get rid of those real quick. rm browser base content, no, browser components. It's browser components, browser extensions, activity stream, Chrome, or add-on. What is it? Content. Lib UI event reporting, that's the one. UT event reporting, not UI. UT event reporting.jsm.orig. And what was the other one? It was activity stream message channel .orig. Message channel.jsm.orig. Now if I do mock package, what happens? Well, now it freaks out a little bit. Mock build faster. Maybe I have to like make sure that it's aware that those files are not there. And now mock package. No such file or directory. Mock. What? So if I go into the objdir here and look inside browser, What do I see? Extensions, activity stream, make file, all these things, and backend.mk, all that stuff, that's fine. And it was something like browser, see installer, make file, activity stream, no, how about locale manifest? Nope. No such file there when looking at browser installer or running that make file. Let me try something. Instead of running mock build faster, let's just run mock build again. This should be relatively quick. We're not like we're not having to compile any binary things. Just got rid of some files, and I'm hoping that that kind of like there's some rsync action maybe that wasn't happening. Oh, that's good. Deflated stuff. Great. Yeah, I'd really like to put this one to bed because this is supposed to be a pretty straightforward fix. Now, if I can't get this to build properly or pack, see, it still hates it. No such file or directory. Why? Why? What makes you think that this file is anywhere in there? What if I search through here and grep for that string? Nothing. How about if I search through here and grep for that string? Is there some file somewhere that has that string inside it? Grep. What? No such file or directory. Are these like symlinks? Maybe that's what it is. cd dist bin browser features activity stream chrome content lib a list l. Yeah, they're symlinks. That's what it is. So I'm gonna get rid of these symlinks. Activity stream message channel dot orig. Okay. So there were some symlinks there that didn't need to be. And I think there were some other places maybe that were symlinks. Where was it? This here inside the actual build. Chrome content lib. Yeah. RM activity stream message channel JSM orig ut event reporting.jsm.orig. Okay. Now that we've cleaned that out of our obj.dir, I'm hoping that's all we needed to do. Let's see what mock package does now. Oh, this is further than before. And if this works, then what's the problem? Like, was I able, because I'm pretty sure that the push that I went and pushed to here included that makefile change that Florian suggested. Yeah, browser locales makefile. Here. Well, the good news is that these are tier 2 failures, which means I might be able to just land this and then deal with the fallout afterwards. But what I'm going to do, just to be safe, is I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask someone, Gandalf, see if Gandalf's around. FX team. Gandalf is one of our localization people. Packaging complete. So that worked. That worked. So Gandalf has ponged. Hey, mind if I have a question about lines and builds on tree herder line 5. Alright, let me see if he's okay with us talking over the live stream. Wait for him to confirm that he's okay talking with me on the live stream. Come on, Gandalf. We'll see. While we're waiting to hear back, one of the other things I'm hoping to work on today, there's this crazy bug, and I'm not entirely certain how I want to approach this. Well, first, I guess I'll explain it. This is going to be a little bit of a trip. This is going to be a sort of a strange bug to explain. But we have this bug, 1358712. I think I first worked on that bug during one of my live streams a couple of weeks ago. And the patch for it, which removes a sync layout flush that we caused from JavaScript, it removes it, it got reviewed, it landed, it bounced because of test failures in automation. So it bounced, and I investigated the test failures. They're very mysterious. And the end result of that investigation, let me see if I can send you, this link is broken. Let me fix this link, and then you can see the conversation. So the interesting part of the bug is down here, where I explain what's going on. So what happened? So clear formatting. Hey, what happened? Actually, I have that sound.
What happened? Hey, what happened?
So essentially, under certain circumstances, when we have these tests, the question in live hacking, DWLS, is this a continuation from 2 weeks ago? It depends. What happened 2 weeks ago? I'll ask that in IRC. Well, hang on. I can answer what happened 2 weeks ago. We can look at the agenda. So 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago was back here. So it was the last episode. There was us dealing with the rendering after scroll issue, and I don't actually remember what we did. I can tell you straight up that we fixed the rendering error after scroll issue. So that happened, and that involved just removing some dead code and updating a test. So no, I wouldn't say that this is a continuation. Each episode kind of, it's just like there's no continuity, direct continuity from bug to bug. I mean, work happens in between, so there are these little gaps where stuff has happened, and so this is not a direct continuation from last week's. Sorry about that, because like these bugs are bugs that I need to work on during the day. They're not just sort of like side bugs, but I need to keep working on them between episodes. So they tend to, there's a shift, or there's work that takes place. So, yes, this is related to the previous episode, the episode from 2 weeks ago, but is not a direct continuation. So there was a drop in continuity. I hope that answers the question. So the patch that landed and bounced, what happened was that the... So Gandalf has come back. And he's okay with us chatting in IRC about this live. So, hi. So I have a patch from a contributor that's trying to remove one of our system add-ons that we don't need anymore. The presentation API system add-on. And for some reason it's causing L10N jobs to go red, and I'm not sure what to do about it. So this is the build that I'm going to show. Did I miss removing something? Or I shouldn't say I. Did we miss removing something? Did we miss removing something? That is English. Am I Englishing properly? Is that the correct English? Did we miss removing something? Someone check my English. I'm not entirely certain that I'm speaking that good, speaking correctly. Anyway, this is the failure. The L10N job is referencing the present. Oh, it's going to be hard, but ignore it. That's easy to hear, and say no more. And I'm going to say thanks. So we're done here. We've got a build that works. Let's re-land this thing. Re-land Ludo's patch. So in order to do that, I'm going to I should also run this test. Mock test dev tools client command line test browser command add-on. Because I modified that test while I was at it to remove the reference to the presentation API system add-on. So let's just make sure that that runs correctly, and if it does, then I think we can go ahead and land this. Generally speaking, TLDR is that the L10N job is testing your patch against older build, and if you change the list of L10N resources, it mismatches. Okay. And we upgrade every time. Testing your patch against older build, and if you change the list of resources, it mismatches. Well, sounds like we've got top people on it. So keep up the good work, folks. And thanks for the guidance. All right, so that's done then. Calyx looking at the issue. This this passes, so let's get this thing landed. Let's do it. Let's amend that change. Amend with that change that I put in here. Let's pull down inbound, rebase on top of it. Because we have to land on inbound because this wasn't a Moz review. This wasn't a Moz review patch. And I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if you can read this, but Gandalf is waving to M. Conley's live hacking viewers. That's Gandalf. Gandalf is waving to all of you. Say hi, Gandalf. Gandalf's great. Gandalf is currently working on a really interesting project called Fluent. If you're not familiar with Fluent, I'm currently making you famous with my audience. Okay, you should check out Gandalf and the rest of the localization team's work on the Fluent library. If you ever have to deal with like, is it called Fluent? Shoot, L10N. Project Fluent, that's what it is. So this is, what, I have to recall this. This is basically a way of writing like localizable software and doing it in a sane way, like a making it so that your software can be translated more easily. And what do we know about this thing? Fluent. This is like a really excellent third-party project, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Mozilla's doing this. Stasm. Oh no, works for Mozilla. Okay, so this is a Mozilla project. I seem to believe here. Project Fluent is from Mozilla, but or it's at least built primarily by Mozillians, but is usable in all of your a good chunk of your projects. If you're using JavaScript, Python, or Rust, there are React bindings, and this is a way to make things easier, make it easier for you to translate your software. And you should check it out. Gandalf contributes to it. Our localization team is amazing. Firefox has translated in like into how many languages? A bunch. It's like over 100. I'm pretty sure. So it's all because of people like Gandalf and the Fluent library, which we are slowly porting all of our front end to use because it's relatively newer technology. So actually, one place that we are currently using Fluent is about preferences. So right here, all of these strings in here are using the Fluent library right now. And so we're moving more and more of the UI over to it. Okay, so pulled down inbound, rebased on top of it. I'm pretty confident that this is going to land and be okay. So let's take a look and see what goes out if I push. Just a sane check here. Should just be the one commit. If it's a whole bunch of stuff, that's bad. I noticed I'm either slouching. I think I'm slouching. That's why my head was kind of out of frame. Yeah, it's the one commit. And there's nothing incoming from inbound. Shouldn't be anyways. Oh, maybe there is. Maybe I have to pull again. Someone beat me to it. Yeah, okay, so we're going to have to pull from inbound and rebase again, and then push on top of it. Come on now. What's the holdup? All right. Let's push now. See if we can beat anyone else to the punch. Push our inbound. So that's going to go into inbound, hopefully, unless someone else beat me to it. Yay! So that pushed to inbound. Whoop, whoop. So now, if we go back to this bug, the pushbot, pulsebot noticed it, and there we go. It's cooking. So that's that. That was a lot easier than I thought it'd be. I thought it would be a little more mysterious. It turns out it was just my local build. It was just some symlinks in my local build, and we can just ignore the L10N build failure on automation. So lessons here. When packaging, there are symlinks. Ignore L10N build failures moving forward. That's a useful lesson. All right, so now let's go back to this other bug that I was mentioning before. What happened? we landed this thing, and it bounced because, hang on a second, hang about, let me move that over here. So these web platform tests are the things that were failing, and what was happening was the test runner runs in one tab, and then it will open a new tab, run the test, and then that tab will close. And the problem was that some of these tests work by flushing layout immediately. Like the HTML, we start with like the body, and like we create some elements, maybe a table or something, and then there's a script tag right at the bottom. So as we're parsing the HTML, we'll get to the script tag, and the script tag runs JavaScript that causes layout to flush immediately. And what that means is it will query for like the dimensions of something, like the table that it just put into the document, and say, give me those dimensions. And because the table just got put into the DOM, that means layout hasn't had a chance to run normally, so we have to synchronously run layout. And that's what the test does. That's what and that's what it relies on. The problem is that whenever we first open these tabs, it is possible for the how does it go? By getting rid of the status panel, like all of this bug here, the uninterruptible reflow while calculating the mouse target rec, is because of this thing at the bottom of the left of the screen. You see the little status, or the status panel showing the addresses of the links I'm floating over. We have this code that does sync layout flushes every time one of those shows up. It's bad, and the reason we need to get the position of things is because we want to like how does it work? We want to flush layout because we wanted to know, like, is the mouse over top of it or something, and sometimes the events happen when layout hasn't run its normal course, and so then we have to flush layout to determine whether or not it's over it, and then that's bad. We're flushing layout in JavaScript. So my code got rid of that layout flush, but by getting rid of that layout flush, we now have this situation where sometimes we'll open a tab, and that tab's frame loader, which is the parent process, like basically the iframe element, is called a frame loader in the parent process, and that's the thing that shows us the web content here. It has no dimensions yet because it hasn't laid out, and so whenever it's first constructed, because we're not flushing layout, we reach this code path that goes, okay, well, we're creating this tab parent now. What's our size? Oh, our size is nothing because we haven't flushed layout yet. Okay, well, let's tell the tab child that we're really small. So it will send a message down to the tab child saying you're initting and you're really small, and then the tab HTML will run, and that script will run, and we have a race. Now we're in the middle of a race. So the race is this. The content process could run that JavaScript, flush layout, and that because it thinks it's very small, the test will, the layout code running in the content process will decide, oh, because I'm very small, I have to lay out the page like this, and that will go against the expectations of the test, and that test will fail. That's the losing the race. Winning the race is, we've opened the tab. The tab starts, we start up a content process maybe, the HTML starts being parsed, and then meanwhile, maybe even before the HTML is parsed, the parent finishes laying out itself and realizes that the browser is actually bigger than we thought originally, and sends an update message down to the content saying, hey, actually you're this size. And so the update comes down saying, it's almost like inflating in one of those inflatable tents. Boom, poof, you're big now. And if that happens before the JavaScript runs inside the page, then the test passes. And so what we want to do, or what I did was I ended up filing this other bug about that. So when the content is requesting a window with window.open, because that's how we're opening this new tab, sometimes the Puppet widget, which is the thing that has dimensions in the content process, even though we don't have any windows, and the notion of a window, like an operating system level window in the content process, we have this thing called a Puppet widget, which represents one of these windows in the content process, this cross-platform abstraction called a Puppet widget. And sometimes its dimensions are too small. And I lay that out here, and I have two possible solutions. And my solution, I think the simpler solution is if we are laying out the if we're opening a tab because something from the content process said window.open and the frame loader has not been laid out yet, then flush layout. I think that's what we want to do. And I wrote a patch to try and do that, and it didn't work. And I want to know why. Yeah, all of the tests that were failing before continued to fail. So my solution didn't work for some reason, and I don't know why. And then a bunch of tests also started failing. So that was really wrong. Like, my solution was really wrong. So what I think I want to do is I want to figure out why this solution didn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign into beast mode, which is my Linux VM. And what do I have here? Right, I've got a version of the patch that gets rid of the stats panel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down the flush, doing the flush in the sub document frame. So let me pull down this patch. And I'm going to build, and then we're going to see. We're going to try and see why we're failing. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to do an opt build, I think. Should I do an opt build or should I do a debug build? What have I currently? So it will fail in debug, and that's easier to actually debug with RR, and that's ultimately what I want to do. Okay. Let's build now. What am I building with? Default. Okay. So let's build that. See what happens. And while we're waiting for that build, let's do something else. So I am working with some students to help develop a mechanism for theming in content pages. So allowing theme authors, web extension developers, third-party web extension developers to theme pages like the new tab colors. You may have noticed that my new tab page is dark. So the activity stream team has taken it upon themselves, and they're a great team, and they've taken it upon themselves to support the built-in dark theme, so that if I switch to light theme, all of this changes, etc. But we wanted to make it so that you could set an arbitrary color to the background, not just dark and light, but an arbitrary color. And so that's what all of this is about. And there's this mechanism that I kind of helped design with the students, and now they've got a patch up and they wanted me to review it. So I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to have this patch building in the background. What I'll do actually is I will run this in a separate window over here so I can keep an eye on it. And then I will review this patch with you. So let's pump things up a little bit, and let's see how this thing works. So there are three parts to this. The simplest part is this part right here, the lightweight theme consumer that broadcasts messages anytime a theme for a window, because a theme can be per window. That's the sort of the granularity we're talking about here. Themes can be per window, and we have to support that at the very least. Anytime a Windows theme updates, we broadcast to all the tabs in it the theme update, the updated theme data. And so my first piece of feedback here is we also have to broadcast updates, broadcast a lightweight theme update message anytime a new browser is inserted or when a browser tab is dragged into the associated window. We should probably support that right out of the gate. So So that's the first issue, is that we need to support those things. But otherwise, what they're doing is right. They're broadcasting the theme data. I'm also wondering, we might want to consider having a whitelist of properties that are sent down to content instead, and just sending those rather than the whole a data packet, which a data object. For now, can we examine the support that Chromium? Can we examine Chromium's support for new tab theming, and then once we map that to the properties that we support, create a whitelist here and construct an object with only those whitelisted properties to send down to content. Okay, so there's that. So that's reviewed. Happy with that. So here they're using about plugins as like the test bed, which is fine. That's what I asked them to do. They were testing about plugins. Like they were trying to theme it versus trying to theme like activity stream, because that's a little bit harder to do. Please remove this new line. Knit alignment for content theme.js. So that's just a little out of line. These are just little stylisticness, but they're registering it properly. I don't care about the plugin support because we're not actually going to ship with that. It's just their test bed. This is like the more interesting part, the tab content stuff, and then the library content theme.js. So the tab content stuff is what is listening for that broadcast that's coming down from the parent, and then the content theme stuff is the stuff that's loaded into the in-content pages. Right. I know this is just programs, so I prefer if we use pages that already have CSS variables. Yeah, about plugins was just a proof of concept. We shouldn't ship with it. I don't mind the students shifting over to about or something. So that's just me responding to, and Tim, let me do that. Oh man, no, stop, don't reload the page. I'm gonna reply with that comment down here. I have a reply here. I'm gonna publish my reply. Add event listener, and then they're setting this as the event listener. And then, yeah, there are a couple of extra arguments here. False, true. So false is for capture, true is what? Web, add event listener. Let's take a look at the web IDL implementation. Event target, add event listener. Wants untrusted. That's what it is. Passing null means default behavior, which differs in content. The default Boolean value is true, and while in Chrome the default Boolean value is false. Wants untrusted. let's see if we can find the documentation just so I'm up to speed. I think I know what this thing does, but I need to ensure. Wants and trusted. Firefox Gecko specific parameter. If true, the listener receives synthetic events dispatched by web content. Right. That's what we want. I agree about that. That's what. So wait, we're listening for an event, lightweight theme support. Right, that's what we wanted. I don't understand how this is different from just I read on class previous review. Makes sense to have a Chrome only event. Would be nice to clarify this with a comment though. Right, so what's happening is we make it so that pages that we want to support theming have to emit this event before the page show event fires, or the page load event fires. On page load, we add the message to listener. Update. We should probably add this listener in init. Right, I think. And receive message, then we update. It fires the event. Should probably add this listener into init. The reason I say this is because lightweight theme support on page load will fire. The reason I say this is because we might want to support the common case scenario where a non-default theme is already applied and we're opening some in content page for the first time, like about new tab. In that case, what we want to do is hear the lightweight theme support event and send down a cache of the theme data that we're holding onto in this lightweight theme listener, rather than waiting until the parent tells us about theme updates and then sending down the lightweight theme update event. So hopefully that makes sense. So I actually don't think this is necessary. I don't actually think we need to do this. Content whitelisted. Have an update if content's whitelisted. Right, okay. Then we fire the event. And we're only doing that in lightweight theme update. Right. So I think that's my general comment, is it doesn't look like we shouldn't depend on the loading of the page to be listening for things. Instead, we should create or register the listeners on init, cache any updates we receive, and when we receive from the parent, and when we receive the lightweight theme support event from content, immediately update the theme in content. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what we should be doing. So I think that's all the review feedback I had there. Otherwise, I like the idea. Here is the last bit, the content theme library. This is what's used inside pages that need to support this stuff. Since this is going to be loaded inside all themed in content pages, the fewer globals we can expose, the better. If we need this mapping, can we hang it off of the well-named content theme controller namespace as a property? Ultimately, I want content theme.js to expose one or fewer globals to importers. And so how does this work? See above. Let's see if we can get all of this stuff inside the content theme controller namespace. So I got a question from IRC, and the question is, what does parent refer to? What does parent refer to? So, multi-process Firefox is structured like this. You have the parent process, which is the main Firefox executable, and then web content that you view in your tabs. Those are loaded, parsed, and rendered inside content processes or child processes. So if you wanted to graph this, you'd have like one node as your root. That's the parent process, and then you'd have many child nodes coming out of that, and that's kind of the relationship. It's a parent to child relationship. Hopefully that answers your question. But the parent process is like the privileged browser process in charge. The content processes are sandboxed web content processes that start up and shut down arbitrarily, or not arbitrarily, but like when you close all of the tabs in a content process, we shut it down, that sort of thing. Hopefully that answers your question. So how does this thing work? Let's ignore some of these. Let's try and figure out the execution cycle here. So the very first thing that happens is after we define all this stuff, we run content theme controller init, and init just adds this lightweight theme set event listener, and then we define some other functions, and then we also add a page show event listener, and on page show we send this lightweight theme support event. And so now come to think of it, page show is fired in two cases. One, the page is loaded. Two, the page is navigated to, is loaded. The page is gone back to in history. I don't think we necessarily need to refire this event in the latter case. Maybe we can just fire this lightweight theme support event inside the init function. So as soon as you load this script, it fires that event. And then It's listening for lightweight theme set. And I don't actually see that. Is this supposed to be lightweight theme update? Lightweight theme set. Lightweight theme set. Oh no, it's fired here. Lightweight theme update. I think that's the wrong event name, yo. So no, I'm wrong. Delete that comment. Over here, it's supposed to be lightweight theme set. Lightweight theme update is the name of the message that the parent sends the content scripts. Right? Lightweight theme update. Yeah, it receives the message. And then what does it do? It gets the document element, it gets the data, tries to determine if there's no accent, if there's an accent color, and then sets the properties. Set properties. We go through, so they have their own whitelist already. Property. And then they set the sanitize. Span. That's gonna style flush every time we sanitize. Style flush. Not great. Val equals process color. Parse RGBA. Okay, I think that's all my feedback here. So I'm gonna R- for now, but I'm gonna say like, this is coming along nicely, but I have some suggestions. See below. Publish. How is the build going? Still going. Hurry hard. We're 20 minutes into that build though, so hopefully it'll be done soon. I think it is. Looking at where, so let me pull the window over. We're building all these like test binaries. I think we're almost done the build. We'll probably see ourselves linking Zool in a second, would be my guess. Like the compile, we're gonna skip past. In the, my bet, I'm gonna place a bet. 10 seconds, and we're gonna be done the compile step, and we'll be over here in MISC. So starting right now. What? I didn't mean to play that sound. Or 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I was wrong. I lose the bet. Now that sound makes sense. I thought we were a lot closer, but I guess we're now inside the graphics stuff. That's the problem, though. Like, all this building happens kind of non-deterministically. This is using a bunch of threads, and it's all like you can't really. We're not building serially through the code base, and so it's gotten harder over time to like figure out, well, how far am I through the build by looking at where you are in the tree, because it changes from build to build. So now that that review is done, what are we going to do? So that review is done. Done review. So other stuff I can do. Let me pull up. Well, first of all, let's see how our how our inbound push is doing. Let's make sure we didn't explode the tree. Yay! Things are green. That's better. Before things were super on fire, and now they're green. That's good. That's good business. That's just good business. What are we gonna do next? Let me take a look at my dashboard while we wait for this other build to finish, and we can see if there's anything that makes sense for me to do right now. I'm gonna do it off screen though, because I might have security bugs in there. Just one sec. Okay, we have this other review we could do. Let me bring that over here. Pardon the sound. That was just something I should file, but sometimes dragging tabs in and out of Windows causes spinners. Very short spinners. In fact, let's file that right now. Tearing. Is that like every time we cut? It's not every time, but it's quite common. Tearing out, tearing in, tearing out, tearing in. Huh. I think it's just the tearing out. Tearing out. So let's file a bug on that. Tabbed browser. Short spinner reported when tearing tabs out of a window. str. On nightly build, install spin doctor. That's the thing that's making that sound. Tear a tab out of a window into a new window. Expected result, no spin doctor ping sound. Actual result, a spin doctor ping sound, meaning we showed a micro spinner. And let's take a look and see what the amount of time was. So we have these counts here. Let's, I'm gonna open another tab over here that you can't see off screen, sorry. And I'm gonna tear it out into a new window, and then I'll refresh the page over here. So let's tear it out. So now we'll reload. Aha, 340 milliseconds, that's a long time. And that's the one that went up. Very interesting. I don't recall seeing the spinner that long. Oh, I do see it. I do see it. It shows up in the window that goes away. In the tab that goes away. Oh, because... Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I see. I mean, we showed a micro spinner. This is happening because the tab we're dragging out goes away and then attempts to switch, and then that window attempts to switch to the next logical tab to display, and because the previous tab has been closed, the we fall back to showing a spinner. This is very similar to that other bug that we were looking at a couple weeks ago, where we had like this special case. We would show a micro spinner whenever like we close the new tab. This is a variation of this bug. This is yet another variation of bug. Such and such, we show a spinner because we've closed a tab and started a switch, and we can't show the layers for the closed tab, and we can't keep showing the layers for the closed tab, and that blocks such and such. And I'm gonna put fxperf on it. All right. How's our build doing? Hey, it's done. Great, 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 great. So back we go. Here we are. Let me pull this bottom up so you can see it. Close all these windows over here that I've been dragging in and out. Don't need those. Okay, so what are we dealing with here? Context switching. Yeah, we got rid of we're flushing an NS subdocument frame. And what I was hoping to see, what I am hoping to see, is that this test still passes. We'll see. I'm gonna broadcast that on the VNC server display number 1, and we'll see if this test passes. Failed GL context creation for web render. What? Is that because I'm not connected? That might be because the screensaver was on. And there's your failure. Good stuff. Good stuff. We've got our failure. So we can catch a genie in a bottle right here. Let us debug with RR. So let's try that again and see why we're failing. I'm a genie in a bottle.
That's right.
Whoa, why is this taking so long to start the runner? RR is, oh, there we go. Just took a second. Start the test. Test passed, okay. Boo. Run it again. Oh man. No good. Do it again. Yeah, it runs really super slow with RR, which is not supposed to do. But we got it to fail without RR, and maybe we can work with that. The other thing that we could try and do is, I don't really want to kick off a debug build. Well, you know what? Let's do that. Let's kick off a debug build while, like, just in the background. Build with debug. Maybe the added load will help the machine cause the failure due to scheduling and stuff. Okay, running the test. And tested okay. See, that's no good. All right, quit. Now what happens if I don't run it with RR again and just run it normal kind? Great. Now what happens if I increase the frame rate so that I don't care about the frame rate? Because I had to use like the frame rate of like a really slow frame rate in order to reproduce the issue. What happens now? The test passes okay. So the slow frame rate is like really necessary in order to reproduce this. So the good news is that I can add some logging maybe. Ooh, we're linking libzool already. Maybe we can try this test with the debug build before moving on. That would be very nice. Yeah, let's do that. Build with debug, and now do that. Let's see if it fails. Fail for me. Whoops, I want a drum roll. This might need a longer drum roll. I can just restart the drum roll. We're looking for a test failure, and no! The test did not fail. That's too bad. That is too bad. So we're going to shut that down. And we'll go back to the original default. Without RR, it fails consistently, and we can work with that. We're just going to have to use some like printf debugging, I think, try and figure out what is going on. So let's start by where is sub document frame? NS sub document frame as in layout generic. And what were we doing? Reflow. Yeah, this one. So I was saying like, hey, flush pending notification. Now what if I say instead of frames, we say layout? So flush layout. Because before I was saying frames because I thought that would be enough. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'm flat out wrong. And if I am flat out wrong, I think this is still strictly better because we were flushing layout in the parent process for every, like, potentially every time you hovered, like, anytime we showed the status bar at the bottom. So we will be strictly reducing the number of layout flushes, even though we're adding one here in this case where the sub-document is what? First showing. When it's first showing, right. I mean, the other thing we do is we could also like bump up the size, the default size here. Like I that seems like an almost an irresponsible. Like, look, pick some default size for now. This is the small size that we send down if we haven't laid out the content yet. We're just using 10 by 10 because that's what the code used to do. So it's a big old shrug. First of all, let's see if this fixes things. My flushing full-blown layout. Yes, it does. That's what I wanted to see. So what is flushing frames? Flush type. Frames. Oh, that's just a style flush. It's not a layout flush. So maybe that makes the most sense. Maybe that's all I need to do is just need to flush frames. In that case, maybe we have our patch here. And let's push it to try, and we'll see how it does. One of the tests that was failing was this one over here. Like, we had some Moki tests that were failing, and maybe I can try and reproduce one of those just to see if this will address the issue as well. Like this one. Mock build binaries. Pew, pew, pew. All right. So let's run the test again. This should fail. We should get our failure. Yep. And now let's run this other test. This one right here. Moki test that. And we'll say display 0. We don't need web render for this apparently. Maybe we'll have to try using, oh, no such. Oh, hang on. I spelled Moki test wrong. Moki test. Does this fail? I want this to fail because that means that I can reproduce it locally and see if the switching to layout flushing is going to fix this. Waiting for browser. Oh, hang on. Wrong display. Use display 1. And what happens in this test? We time out, and this looks like it's going to time out because we've started, we're not doing anything, and we're just like sitting here. So let's see if now when we unshelve and build binaries again, linking. Come on now.
Mamma mia! Okie dokie.
I can't do my work.
All right. Come on. Let the test run and pass, please. Please. And it doesn't. And why not? What does this test do? Browser bug 1058164. What's it waiting for? Page show and page hide events. Page visibility. Let's, I guess, set some dump logging inside this file, see if we can figure out where we're stuck. Dump checkpoint 1. Checkpoint 2. Checkpoint 3. I'm just spewing out checkpoints here. I guess I could probably just use the debugger as well. But this is faster whenever I'm on beast mode, I think. Let's see what happens now. So we should get some logging and see which checkpoint we don't reach. Checkpoint 3 we got to, so it's between checkpoint 3 and checkpoint 4. And the only thing that awaits in there is this preparing for visibility events in a new browser window. So page hide and page show events wait for event DOM content loaded. Page hide and page show events for this new window. Do we have, like, we have a new window here? We do. And do those page hide and page show events actually get fired? I'll bet they do. I bet we're too late. We have to wait for the window to load so we can get the selected browser to listen to. Can't we just like listen on the page hide events on the initial browser? Page hide, page show. Wait a second. How does this work? When swapping browser failures, just cursor and moving a tab to different windows. So we create a page, selected tab is the tab. We load that page, then we tear the tab out, and then we expect page hide to page show to fire on that. And then we use tab we just added should now fire page hide as it's replaced in a page show once the swap is finished. Tricky. I see what's happening here. But I guess the question is this test failing because the events aren't firing, or is this test failing because the events are firing but the event listeners are not being added in time? And I think it's that latter, where adding the event listeners think we're too late. I think we are too late. Because the parent is probably flushing layout. I see. Because the parent's probably flushing layout. And I wonder, like, let's take a look at some of these other test failures. This port is closed from this side. Test timing out. Let's look at this one. Test timed out here. We open a new tab. Then we do some stuff. Let's run this test and see what happens. I think I also have a meeting very soon, so I'm gonna have to stop this broadcast. And so we pass, found new autocomplete pop-up, try that again. See what it looks like. And then it closes the tab. And then what are we waiting for? Close the pop-up, close the window. Well, I guess we never get to that step, the close the window step. Very mysterious. I don't think my solution is helping. I think it's hurting here, and I need to figure out what's going on. But I don't think I've got time to figure it out during the stream. I'm going to cap it here. Hey, thanks so much for watching episode 136 of The Joy of Coding. I hope that was interesting. I feel like we covered a bunch of ground, although, you know, this last one, Calc Mouse Target Rect, still very frustrating. Inching forward. This is like writing the patch took no time. It's just getting it landed. Trying to fix all the things so it can land. It's like finding out that your the cupboards that you're replacing in the kitchen were for some reason keeping your plumbing working in the basement. Like the drawer needed to be made of old plywood in order for the bathroom to work upstairs, like that sort of thing. I'm just trying to make the cupboards in the kitchen look good, and now I'm in the plumbing for some reason upstairs trying to make the bathroom work. That's what it feels like, and that's not unusual. That's standard software in my experience. It's not supposed to be that way, but that's sometimes the way it is. Hey, so again, thank you for watching episode 136 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought of this episode. There's a link to rate this episode in the agenda. I'm going to drop a link to that in the Twitch chat. Let me know what you thought. I read everything that comes in. There's a fun picture of me at the end giving like a shrug or something. I put in a new picture every week. Notice I said new and not nude. I said new picture with a W, N-E-W, picture every week, so that you've got something's different about these forms, because otherwise the forms are mostly the same. And you should let me know what you thought of the series, or let me know what you thought of the episode, rather. Not the series, the episode, because that's what the rating form's about. And that's it. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. The joy of coding. See ya.